And here we go. We're moving on now. Let's go to line number 1. Joining us from Nova Scotia is our friend Bruno Marcocchio. Hello, Bruno. You're on the air.
Hi, Patty. How are you?
I'm all right, man. You?
I'm good. I'm especially warmed by the story that we just heard. I heard the discussion this morning, and it strikes me that both on your island and on mine, people in a heartwarming way have a way of helping and looking after one another, and it's I'm glad to see that kind of caring for one another.
The island mentality is a distinct form of social life, isn't it? It's wild how it manifests itself, but when it does, it's something to behold. I think it's great too.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Well, let's. There's been quite a few developments in the last couple of days on the Muskrat Falls thing. We had some rather disturbing news on my island this morning that our Public Utilities Board doesn't have the mandate to look at the sale of the power to Nova Scotia if it's registered by Emera. They can only look at Nova Scotia Power. Despite the fact that our Premier has said that he would change the regulations, he says he can't comment on it because the term sheet hasn't been completed. I'm very worried that the same sleight of hand of denying our PUB the opportunity to have all of the facts on the table is going to transpire here to sell this scheme. We'll see how that goes.
Well, we can only wait and see what goes on in Nova Scotia. I don't know much about it. I spoke about it this morning. I know it's a troubling piece of news for everybody involved in trying to push the deal forward, but I guess we'll have to wait and see what develops.
Yeah. Tom, I heard another whopper yesterday from Tom Marshall when he was on your program.
On with me?
He was supposed to talk about hospitals. He decided to plug Muskrat Falls, and he claimed that there's going to be a need for power in Labrador because of all of the mining developments there, and that's one of the reasons for Muskrat Falls. Well, it's another big whopper, because there's some power from the Upper Churchill project that Nalcor had access to that I think 3 years ago they sold through Hydro-Quebec to Emera to sell to New England. The last time they reported that deal was about 3 years ago, unless they've updated it very recently that I'm not aware of. And guess what? They lost money selling that block of power through Hydro-Quebec and Emera into New England. Suddenly they stopped talking about it. The point is they've got a block of power that they're now losing money on that's there readily available for mining development in Labrador. So I wonder why the Minister of Finance would be misleading everyone in Newfoundland and Labrador again about that.
Well, that's a question for him, I suppose. But I think one of the conversations that I hear amongst the mining folk that I know and I speak with is that the opportunity to buy provincially owned, operated and for sale power from the Lower Churchill piece of the Churchill River is just as attractive to them because they are only dealing with one master at that point, and there's a lot of politics that goes into the business relationship, even if it is a business relationship with the province of Quebec. So there's a lot of things at play, Bruno, and I know you know that too. So I didn't hear the minister, and plus I don't remember talking to the minister. I don't think it was me, right?
No, it wasn't.
I haven't talked to the minister since prior to the budget.
No,
but anyway.
It was with Pete. It was with Pete. But don't forget that you also have a recall block of power there. There's plenty of power available if there is a political will for any mining development. And as I pointed out to you before, I think Nalcor was pretty arrogant when they asked for another block of power and said that they would take it into consideration for Happy Valley Goose Bay if and when the need developed, because they would have to upgrade their lines.
Bruno, let me ask you a question. When it comes to I know you and others have said there's no opportunity for a market to sell this power of Muskrat Falls.
There's no
just one sec.
Sell it at a profit.
I'll spit out the question, then you can go ahead. I think my take on the landscape in North America is that we are gluttons for power. We've proven it over and over again. The rolling blackout and the power companies that have really lived high on the hog over the last decade is extraordinary. If you have a hydro development available inside your jurisdiction, this province, for example, don't you think in the next 10 years, virtually every source of power with the hydrocarbons, wind, hydro, whatever the case may be, don't you think that every jurisdiction will clamor to develop given the unsatisfiable thirst for energy?
Well, it's funny that you should mention that because just yesterday there was an article about the government of Newfoundland turning down the latest proposal for wind power because they claimed that it would result in them spilling water over their dams.
Is this the old...
Highlighting the point again of that wasted economic opportunity.
But is this the Trapassi Barons one?
Need it. So on the one hand, they say they don't need the power from a wind farm. On the other hand, they're letting us believe that there's going to be rolling blackouts in the end of the world.
No, Bruno, I'm asking...
How can they be talking out of both sides of their mouth at the same time, Patty?
Once again, Bruno, you're talking to me, not to whoever said that. I don't even know what you're talking about. Is this the Trapassi Barons 700 megawatt proposal that's been sitting on the desk for a while?
Yeah.
That's the one, okay, Jerry Skinner. That was proposed, I think, 5 or 6 years ago, and he's furious still to this day that it didn't even get any reaction, couldn't even get a meeting at Confederation Building on it. My question to you is, and this is not based on what anyone says, this is based on what I think. Do you think that every piece of potential to generate power in North America will be taken advantage of, including mining the ends of the earth, including in the north, for hydrocarbons? As long as they exist, we'll go get them. So every piece of hydro, every opportunity for wind, any development of gas, whether it be shale or otherwise, will be taken advantage of, given the insatiable need and the gluttony of human beings in North America and abroad.
Well, what you're defining, Patty, I hope you're wrong, Patty, because what you're defining is the end of civilization as we know it.
Absolutely.
It means that the climate that is now clearly out of control. I've never seen a spring or a winter like this one in Cape Breton. You're no stranger to strange weather, so maybe Newfoundland isn't the best case. But the climate change is well underway, caused by the carbon emissions. If we continue to exploit without consideration and with a government that has cut off every opportunity to meaningfully scrutinize these new developments, you may be right, but it will be the end of life as we know it. We've got to look at the alternatives.
You know what?
That's fodder for another, I hope, thoughtful discussion that we can have.
I hope so too, Bruno.
About how there is a fundamental paradigm shift undergoing now that will change how we use, distribute, produce power.
Isn't that an individual thing, though? Political parties, they are resistant to it because we, as our own quiet, private vote behind that cardboard prop, when you go back and vote, people talk big smack on the environment, but if you talk carbon tax, then you guarantee yourself not to get elected, and that's why it's an individual burden. The political parties don't have the will because you can't get elected on an environmentally sensitive or sound policy as a politician or as a political party.
Well,
so I think it's the individual, the citizens of the country are to blame, not the political parties.
Let's pick this up on another day, but just let me finish this part of the discussion.
Very quick, and I got to go to break just because of time today, but you go.
The U.S. has invested hundreds of millions of dollars in building a high-voltage DC backbone across the U.S. to facilitate that transition. That's all I'll say about that. But I have to touch on SNC-Lavalin today, because today Veritas, one of their stakeholders, shareholders, published a report called Skeletons in the Closet. They say, in our view, the findings of this report support an increased probability that SNC's future business projects will be adversely affected by additional revelations of improper acts. Veritas report challenges whether SNC's audit committee did a thorough review. It questions whether Gwyn Morgan, the CEO of SNC-Lavalin, is correct in his insistence that improper payments were isolated incidents that have been contained. That's a very striking statement that these people at Veritas that talk about skeletons in the closet think that the rot in SNC-Lavalin goes much deeper than the $50 million bribe we already know about.
And it very likely does, but does that affect the quality of the work being delivered? That's a fair question, I think, Bruno. And if I was the government, I would demand a performance bond. Given the international disgrace and the investors' fury with the company, I do agree that a performance bond is required to continue business with Lavalin.
More than a performance bond. And I wonder where your political opposition parties are, both of them. Why are they not demanding that a full, transparent, public inquiry be held into the expenditures of $1.5 billion so far?
They're talking about it in the House today.
Lavalin prior to sanctioning. This is not democratic.
Bruno?
You can't hide things from the PUB, from the Joint Review
The
panel.
PUB is its own thing. Next time we talk about the need, the PUB was farcical from the get-go. Should have never ended up in front of the PUB. They hired an expert. If you need to hire an expert, let's hire the expert without. Let's cut the middleman out. And you know that to be true. It's the heights of foolishness to go to people that cannot justifiably deliver an opinion without hiring someone outside. Bruno, I got to go to the break simply because I got to. That's it.
The PUB is one of the strongest and only
It's a regulator.
ways of democratic oversight.
They can have the oversight, but
you need your opposition parties to demand a public inquiry. Nothing less will do.
Bruno, today's actually been one of the more sane and rational chats we've had, and I've enjoyed it. And you're welcome to call again. I'm simply having to go based on the time of the day, not on the quality of chat.
Well, yeah, I'm glad that you didn't have to indulge in personal innuendo and kind of.
And neither did you, which I take, and I appreciate that as well.
Me too.
All the best.
Thanks.
Bye, Bruno. Jeez, how about that, man? Woo!